In this video, we will go over Worksheet 8.2 Reading Strategies and Worksheet 8.2a. We're learning how to find the axis of symmetry and the vertex. Now for the first step, we're going to have to, let's go look at an example here. We have an example right here. Y equals 1/2 x squared plus 4x minus 2. We must first identify the a, b, and c coefficients. A here is 1/2. B is a plus 4, and C is a negative 2. We will then plug in these coefficients into x equals negative b over 2a. Once we get the axis of symmetry, we will plug in this point back into the original function for x and find the y value. Once we have x and y, we have the vertex. In this example, they solved for x with negative b over 2a, and they got negative 4. And here is the line x equals negative 4 right here. You can see right here, there's x equals negative 4. It passes through. Now they plugged the negative 4 back in to where the x is, here and here. They got a value of negative 10. So the vertex is negative 4, negative 10, which is the point right here on the parabola. And that is the vertex. To do any more graphing, we'd actually have to plug in a table of values. But here, for this assignment, we don't need to do all that extra work. Let's look at number 1. Y equals x squared plus 4x plus 4. We first identify the a, b, and c coefficients. A is 1, b is 4, c is 4. X equals negative b over 2a. Negative 4 over 2 times 1. Now this equals negative 2. We then plug negative 2 back into the function. I wrote it as f of negative 2. This is a proper notation. Plus 4 times negative 2 plus 4. You can see we plugged in the negative 2 here and here back from this original function, x squared plus 4x plus 4. Now let's do the math. Minus 2 squared is 4, plus 4 times minus 2 is minus 8, plus 4. When we do all the math here, we get 4 minus 8 plus 4, and this equals 0. So we got the axis of symmetry, and I should actually write it properly. X equals negative 2. This is the axis of symmetry. And the vertex, the point, will be negative 2, comma, 0. Let's look at the next problem. We see the a value, the b value, and the c value. X equals negative b over 2a. So it's negative 4 over 2 times a, which is 2 times 2. Negative 4 over 4 is negative 1. So x equals negative 1 is the axis of symmetry. That's that vertical dotted line that passes through the center of the parabola. Now we're going to plug in negative 1 back into the original function. 2 times negative 1 squared plus 4 times negative 1 plus 1. Again, remember, we are always plugging in for the x values of what we just solved, which is x equals negative 1. We do the math, and we're going to get 2 times negative 1 squared is a positive 2, minus 4 plus 1. 2 minus 4 plus 1 is a negative 1. So the vertex is going to be negative 1, comma, negative 1. Number 3. The a value is a negative 1, the b is a 6, and the c is a 5. X equals, again, negative b over 2a. negative 6 over 2 times negative 1, which is positive 3. So we have x equals 3 as the axis of symmetry. Now we're going to plug the 3 back in to where the x's are. So it's minus 3 squared, because that's the x squared, plus 6 times 3 plus 5. 3 squared is 9, and there's a minus in front, so it's a minus 9 plus 18 plus 5. Minus 9 plus 18 plus 5 is going to be, see, negative 9 plus 18 is 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. So all this will equal 14. So the vertex will be 3, 14. Number 4, x equals negative b over 2a. X equals a negative, and be careful here, it's a negative 6 over 2 times a, which is 2 times negative 1/2. A negative 6 is a positive 6. 2 times a negative 1/2 is a negative 1. 6 divided by negative 1 is negative 6. So the axis of symmetry is x equals negative 6. Now to find the vertex, we're going to plug this in. So it's minus 1/2 x squared minus 6x plus 2. Minus 6 squared is 36. Negative half of 36 is a negative 18. Negative 6 times negative 6 is a plus 36. Now, negative 18 plus 36 is 18. 18 plus 2 is 20. So we have the vertex. It's minus 6, 20. Number 5. X equals negative b over 2a. A negative 6 is a positive 6. 2 times 3 is 6. Now 6 over 6 is equal to 1. So we have x equals 1 as the axis of symmetry. Now we're going to plug this 1 value back in. Three times 1 squared is 3, minus 6 plus 1. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. Negative 3 plus 1 is a negative 2. So the vertex is 1, negative 2. Number 6. X equals negative b over 2a. b, of course, is 10, and a is positive 1. Negative 10 over 2 is negative 5. So x equals negative 5 is the axis of symmetry. We'll now plug in negative 5 wherever the x is. So it's x squared plus 10 times x minus 7. Negative 5 squared is 25. 10 times a minus 5 is a minus 50, minus 7. 25 minus 50 is negative 25. Negative 25 minus 7 is minus 32. So we have our vertex, negative 5, negative 32. Now let's go to Worksheet A. Here it says find the zeros. Keep in mind the zeros are the x-intercepts, also known as the solutions, same thing. So these terms can be used interchangeably with the word zeros as well. So we have the x-intercepts here and here, where it crosses the x-axis. Now this graph is opening down, so we know it's a negative x squared graph because it is opening down. And of course, it does have a maximum. The maximum, of course, will be right here. Now the zeros you could write as x equals -4. And we have 0. You could also write these as a coordinate pair, -4, 0, 0, 0. Both ways are correct. Number 2, there's only one 0 here, and it's at the minimum. This graph does have a minimum, and it only has one 0. Here you could write it as x equals -2, or you can write it as a coordinate pair, -2, 0. Number 3, now this graph has no x-intercepts because it does not cross the x-axis. So for the x-intercepts, you would write none. Or you could write no solution. Later in math, you will learn that these kind of solutions are called imaginary. They're also known as imaginary solutions. Now, when you get into your other math classes and higher algebras and geometries and pre-calculus, you'll hear this word imaginary a lot. Number 4 says find the axis of symmetry. Well, we can see right here that it passes right through the center. And this would be written as, it's always x equals. And it's x equals what? Is it the -7 down here? Or is it going to be the vertical line that passes through this y-axis? It is the vertical line that passes through the y-axis, and that is x equals 0. Now for this axis of symmetry, it's passing right through here, and it's x equals -4. Number 6, this axis of symmetry, passing through the center, x equals +5. If you would notice, whenever there are two x-intercepts, the axis always passes through the average between the two x-intercepts. By that I mean, if you look, one x-intercept here is 3, and the other one is 7. If you were to do 3 plus 7 and divide it by 2 to find the average, you would get 5. When you have two x-intercepts, the axis of symmetry is always the average between the two x-intercepts. It is an average of the x-intercepts. Number 7 says find A and B. We'll identify A as 1 and B as 8. Of course, the C here is 12, but we're not asking for that. It says find -b over 2a. Well, this would be -8 over 2 times 1. Oops. Over 2 times 1. -8 over 2 is -4. So the axis of symmetry is x equals -4. Now we have to plug it in to get the other coordinate. So we're going to have to plug it in, -4, back into the original function of x squared plus 8x plus 12. So it's -4 squared plus 8 times -4 plus 12. -4 squared is 16, plus 8 times -4 is -32, plus 12. 16 minus 32 is minus 16, plus 12. We get also another -4. Number 8. A is 1, B is -10. A negative 10 all over 2 times A, and A is 1. So -10 is a positive 10 over 2, which is 5. So x equals 5. The vertex, we get 5 for x. We have to plug it back in for x to find the y. F of 5. And as you know already, f of 5 is the same thing as writing y. It's whatever the y equals here. So we're going to plug in x squared minus 10x plus 40. So 5 squared minus 10 times 5 plus 40. This becomes 25 minus 50 plus 40. 25 minus 50 is minus 25. Minus 25 plus 40 is a positive 15. So the vertex is 5, 15. Now the last problem, number 9. A is 2, B is negative 8. A negative b, negative 8, over 2 times 2. Positive 8 over 4, which is 2. So the axis of symmetry is x equals 2. The vertex will be 2 comma, whatever the y value. Again, we're going to plug in the 2 value. I like to write it as function notation. This is proper way of writing function notation. 8x, which is 8 times 2, minus 3. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 8 times 2 is 16, minus 3. 8 minus 16 is minus 8. Minus 8 minus 3 is minus 11. So the vertex is 2 comma minus 11. Now this is the second video going over section 8.2.